Hello, everybody. Today, I want to spend a few minutes talking about dark pools because, like a lot of things on Wall Street, there's a lot of mythology and erroneous information going around. So, let's talk about what a dark pool is. A dark pool is nothing more than a private exchange. If you have a firm, a broker dealer, or a hedge fund, or a mutual fund that's big enough that you have clients that are trading the same stocks but some are buyers and some are sellers, a firm will start a dark pool. Now, 30, 40 years ago, there was basically the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. If someone wanted to trade, they had to place their trade there. It had to go through either the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. And of course, by doing that, the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ will get a fee. So as technology progressed, a lot of and the regulations changed. A lot of these big places like your Goldman Sachs, your Morgan Stanley, your J.P. Morgan, your big hedge funds, they just start to think like, well, why are we paying the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq fees to execute our trades? Why don't we just start our own exchange? It'll be a private exchange. It will be for our clients. We don't need to trade on the New York Stock Exchange. We could trade on our dark pool. Now, here is, I think, where the misconceptions come from. The word dark gives it this like ominous kind of a thing. Now, dark pools first came around about 20 years ago in the early 2000s, back when I was the head of trading at whichever institutional money manager I was at. There was three of them, but actually I remember where I was. Anyway, the broker dealers had the dark pools, and they would come to people like myself who are the head of trading at an institutional money manager. Now, an institutional money manager needs to pay a commission to get a trade done, so we're forced to go to a broker. Just like a retail investor needs to go to a broker and pay a commission to get a trade executed, the same thing happens in the institutional world. Now, what's kind of funny is that the these brokers that had these dark pools or that were developing these dark pools would come around to people like myself and pitch the dark pool and say, "Hey, we have a dark pool. It's dark. That means no one else can see what you're doing. We can trade and no one else is going to see it. It's not going to be reported." But as it turns out, that's a complete misnomer. It's completely wrong. A dark pool needs to report all its trades to the tape, as we call it, just like an exchange does. If something trades in a dark pool, you're going to see it on. If you look at that little thing going across the bottom, if you watch CNBC, and I advise my students not to watch CNBC, but if you see the ticker tape going around the bottom, you don't know where those trades were done. It could have been done on a New York Stock Exchange. It could have been done on the NASDAQ. It could have been done in a dark pool. It could have been done in what we call an alternative trading system. There's pretty much probably about 60 or 70 or 80 different venues now where a trade could be executed, and a lot of those are dark pools. So the pitch that the dark pool marketers gave to people like myself is, hey, if you trade in our dark pool, no one's going to see it. You could kind of trade without people knowing what's going on. We don't need to report it to the tape, so no one's going to see it. But as it turns out, that was completely wrong. And maybe some of them were lying. Maybe some of them didn't understand. Maybe the rules have changed. I don't know. It was 2 decades ago. But dark pools are not dark. If something trades in a dark pool, it needs to be reported just like a stock that trades on the New York Stock Exchange. You could see it on what we used to call the ticker tape, which is now electronic. So dark pools are neither good nor bad. They are just private stock exchanges. The marketing ploy was it's dark, meaning you can't see it. But now here we are 2 decades later, and I think when someone who doesn't know trading, like a retail investor, hears the term dark, they for some reason there's this like it's like ominous. It's like Darth Vader and come to the dark side. So that's really it. I mean, there's really nothing mysterious about a dark pool. They're neither good nor bad. They're just private stock exchanges. And they used to market them as like, oh, this is dark, no one can see it. Somehow, through 2 decades of, I don't know what you would call it, market evolution or whatever, um, people hear dark pool and they think it's dark, and dark means bad or evil. And that's not the case. It's a dark pool is a private stock exchange. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. It's not good, nor is it bad. All right. Well, I hope that explains some of the things you may be confused about. And I appreciate you being a student of stockmarketjobber.com. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.